It feels like just yesterday I was talking about the On CloudMonster being an incredible daily trainer, but we have one critical problem with this shoe that I want to discuss as we reach the 50-mile point in this shoe. So let's get into it. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed, watching the content, thanks so much. Love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of other updates and things like that. So without further ado, let's begin. Specs for the shoe somewhere up here. And yeah, it just feels like it's been a minute since I've run in this particular shoe. I was in Orlando for the week for some work training and a little bit of training for running as well, just to enjoy the warm weather. And I didn't take the CloudMonster with me for that training block because I was deeply concerned about one particular thing with this shoe. And if you've been following either the channel, my Strava, on Reddit even, just some other sources that have talked about this shoe at length, there's a critical flaw with the design of the shoe, specifically in the heel ankle area of the shoe. So what I will point out, it's very faint, this might be a really short video all things considered, just me griping on this one particular thing. There might be a hint of blood in the heel area of the shoe or the ankle area, and that's because this major design flaw, for me at least, is causing blisters on my ankle. And it's specifically to the right foot in this particular case. The left foot is actually quite okay, which is strange. So it puts me in this kind of like 50-50 conundrum, right? The question I ask here is, again, number one, is there a flaw with specifically the right shoe manufacturing in the On CloudMonster series? Or two, is it something more of my end, right? Like, do I have a biomechanical issue where maybe my right ankle is slightly larger than my left ankle, and as a result, there's a discomfort that's occurring? Is there a running form thing? You know, this is where I'm like asking those questions. Like, can I improve something on myself for the shoe to be comfortable? And if that's the case, that's one thing, right? But if the shoe has a manufacturing issue, and as I was reading from other sources, which of course includes Reddit, includes Runner's World, and some other shoe review vlogs that I was following, the right shoe is consistently being seen as a problem for a lot of other customers. There have been things I was reading where some people would like be on their third pair and they have the exact same issue, which again, it doesn't quite mean that the entire line of shoes in a bad spot. It could just mean biomechanically maybe there is something with the right ankle being slightly larger or built differently than the left ankle. But regardless, this heel cap design is not good for, I think, the average daily trainer slash runner like myself, right? And I was thinking about this too, like, okay, it could be an on thing, right, where maybe there isn't a whole lot of cushioning. It's hard to like break this heel in. Like maybe if I ran with the shoe something like this, it would be a little bit more comfortable. Like I'm thinking of ways to like work around it, and it's hard to because of how, I guess, rough the edge of the shoe is, which is causing the blisters in the first place and then resulting in me popping them later. There's no clean cut to it because there's not a lot of cushion there as well. There is a sponge, right? But then this particular, I guess, stitching in the heel lining is very stiff, and that's causing some of the issues as well. And as a reference point, I was thinking, okay, you know, from a design perspective, how big of an issue is this, right? So I was using the Deviate Nitro 3 Fade as sort of my example, or as kind of like my baseline or measuring stick here, right? So we have like, of course, this is the area for where the, I guess, the trough of the heel cup for your shoe is, and then the height is like not really that much, and on top of it there isn't much. There's a stitching, and then we have like a heel guard, but the heel itself is not really abrasive, and there's a lot of cushioning there, right? So it's providing that pillow from any sort of scratching that may occur in this particular area. Whereas here, like you see, our trough is about this flat point, and then we have this major, I would say, height, heel protection, ankle protection piece that's causing that difference. And it does kind of simulate more of like that ankle style boot rather than a shoe style, I guess, cap. And I understand this could be a couple of things. Again, this looks like an On's I suppose, simplistic, more like iPhone style aesthetic is sort of being applied here, and as a result, it's trying to look a little bit more sharp, right? And the coloring and the, I guess, like the translucent and slightly faded look to the shoe. I can't think of the finish right now on the top of my head. I'm just exhausted from the day. But it has that, like, iPhone look to it, or I guess that simplistic nature to it. And I understand that's the marketing style rather than having, like, this sort of wild looking running shoe that Puma puts out and some other companies do. Like, they don't want to turn into this simplistic kind of nature thing. Granted, you know, you have this insane looking foam across the shoe, which I personally love, and I think the CloudTech Helion combination is awesome. It's just, again, this might be something that they should cut off the shoe or try to round out a little bit and just, like, accept it, that it's not good along, I think, multitudes of runners at this point, at least the few of us that have expressed our disinterest in it. So it kind of puts in a weird spot that, like, right around 50 miles of running, I have to, I'm basically returning this shoe. I'm going to see if maybe I can exchange it, see if a different model will not give me this particular issue. But at this time, the blistering is just too much to kind of cope with on a daily training basis. There isn't, like, really a sock I can wear that can also overcome this. It's just a running form thing where when I hit the ground, I do tip forward naturally, just because, again, as a running form thing, I am still doing more of that forefoot strike. And as a result, whenever I lean into the run like that, I do lean back into the heel with my ankle. And as a result, it is just being highly abrasive in this area. And as a result, there's the fade of blood in that area. It's more on the tip, I guess you can see. I don't want YouTube looking at this and going like, oh my god, blood all over. It's not as bad as it was, but it was far worse for a little while, and it was kind of disgusting to look at. So we've cleaned that up for the most part. But yeah, leaving it at that. Other than that, like, I think the shoe is in a really, really good direction in terms of its ride, in terms of how I feel running in the shoe. Like, my knees, my ankles, they feel great in this thing. In terms of just, like, impact ride. But in terms of, like, the abrasiveness of the heel and just, like, the pointiness that's kind of drilling into the back of the ankle, it's not good. Like, it's causing, you know, that physical piercing sort of wear rather than that joint kind of blunt impact that you would otherwise expect from just naturally running. So at this time, the CloudMonster is going back to On for whatever research they want to do with the shoe, get my refund on it, and I'm going to see if I can get a different daily trainer in the meantime. So sound off in the comments what you guys think in terms of daily trainers we should try out next. Something that's similar to the CloudMonster, just without this sort of issue. If we have to go back into Puma, let's do it. I know Asics has some really good shoes that I want to try out as well. So sound off in the comments on things you want me to try out or things you guys have really loved this year, and we'll check them out. But until then, I think we're going to leave the review right here. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.